Hello, I'm Cody Leibold, and I'll be talking today with Judd Saul, the director of Enemies Within the Church. This is an update for everybody on our launch team or getting our emails, or if you're just finding out. This is a film that is going to expose the leftist, progressive, postmodern agenda that is taking over within a lot of conservative churches. Thanks for being here, Judd Saul.
Thank you for having me, Cody. I want to tell everyone thank you for your help and support. And I want to thank you, Cody, for your help in this and kind of guiding things along, and really appreciate you, sir.
How is the progress going on the creation of the film as well as the fundraising campaign?
So right now, we're kind of at a standstill due to funding. We've gotten some donations in, we've gotten some funding, but we're looking to meet a certain threshold so we can continue our next round of production, which finishes up our filming here in the U.S., but then takes us over to Europe. I'd like to kind of reiterate and tell everybody that this is not just a U.S. film of what's happening in the church in the U.S. What we're finding is the postmodernism push, the cultural Marxist push in the churches is happening all over the world and not just here. And I think it wouldn't do the film justice if we didn't cover what was happening in Europe, because they're like 10, 20 years ahead of the game as far as churches are concerned. You know, right now churches are emptying and they're being converted into mosques because of postmodernism and because of cultural Marxism. And it's terrible. And I think we need to really show people all over the world that this is what's happening in Europe and this can happen here.
Okay, I would like to hear more about what are you going to include in the film and give people a taste of, like, what is this film going to accomplish?
This film is going to accomplish really showing historically where the church got off track, where we got off track as far as straying from simple orthodoxy, and then how by allowing these little things into our teachings and into our practices of faith, how this has led to where we're at now, where kind of we've embraced situational ethics, we've embraced pietism, and we've embraced antinomianism. And we're going to be taking a serious look at all three of those heresies that have plagued the church in one shape or another. Every denomination has embraced these heresies, and we see them all over the place, which then leaves opens the gap, and the thing that fills that void now is what we're seeing is cultural Marxism and social justice.
For people that are new to hearing about this film, can you share a little bit about who you are and why you and the people on your team are a good fit for bringing this message forward?
Well, in short, I'm a conservative Christian first, conservative filmmaker and activist, and I stumbled upon the infiltration of our churches while doing my previous film, Enemies Within. And Trevor Loudon is also a part of this project, and Trevor Loudon is probably the leading expert on everything that is leftism and communism in the world, as far as who the current activists are, what the groups are, and what they're up to. And when we started finding things that were happening in the church here, in my own personal church here in Iowa, I started asking a lot of questions, and I went to Trevor. I said, hey, here's all these talking points and these things that are flooding through my church. What do you think? And he goes, well, let's see where this is coming from. And so we started looking into organizations and different people that were spouting off these same Marxist talking points, and ran them through Trevor's database, and come to find out that a lot of these people were actually not theologians. They're not in good faith Christians, but they've always been and have been leftist activists. And so we knew we were onto something. And so we just started investigating. And when people found out what we were doing, we started getting information from all over the world about what has been going on. And that's what we're going to bring to you.
Sounds like you are in a position to report on the ground level facts that a lot of people they're thinking this has to be happening, but you're going to show people the ground level facts and then put them together in a big picture to show people, hey, it's time to take action. You're calling people to action in this film. So Tell me about the ideal person who would be a supporter or a launch team member for this film.
If you are noticing things are going on in your church, especially talking points that you know in your heart is wrong and it's not biblical, and the Holy Spirit's telling you that there's something up, this film's for you, because we're going to connect the dots. We're putting in the thousands upon thousands of hours of research to put this into a 90-minute palatable form for you to digest. But once you guys watch the film, I'm telling you, you're going to understand and know from start to finish and beginning to end where this started, and then how we can finish this and how we can put a stop to this. And so if you're in your church and you hear your pastor talking about social justice issues, you hear him talking about pro-gay marriage, you hear him even questioning a pro-life stance, this film's for you.
There are tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people in this country that are worried, that are burdened, that are ready to take a stand, and they wish they knew how. And if you're that kind of person, when you see this film, this is the kind of thing that if you could put your support in it now, this is a time for action. This is a decisive time where if you can support it, then it's going to have an effect. It's going to get in front of people. We would like to bring this to theaters across the United States. We would like to put tools in the hands of churches, small groups, communities. We want to form not just a film, but also a movement. Let's talk more about that, the movement aspect.
So the film is more than just a movie. We want to create a movement out of this, and a lot's going to have to do with our website and your interaction. We want to create a list of safe churches that people can go to across the country, regardless of the denomination. Now, remember, this is a non-denominational film because this movement has infiltrated every denomination. This is all over Christendom. But we want to put a resource together for safe churches to go to, where your pastor says, or your elder team says, our church does not follow this nonsense. We do not follow social justice. We do not follow postmodernism and Marxism, and we stand for the biblical inerrancy. We stand for the inerrancy of the scriptures. And that is, and believe it or not, it's hard for a lot of pastors to even take a stand like that. And that's the other thing, is that our film is not geared towards just pastors. Our film is geared towards people in the pews, because that is where the changes can be made. Your pastors have been trained to stay out of politics. They've been trained to stay out of controversial issues. And they've been trained to push people away that bring up, that even question some of the things that are going on. And this is wrong. Okay? I just want to tell everybody now, we are supposed to be like the Bereans. We're supposed to test what you hear according to the word. When somebody preaches, we're supposed to question it and read it and according to the scriptures. That is what your job as a Christian is supposed to be doing. Not just taking the pastor's word for it, but taking the Bible's word for it.
So let's not just be the kind of people who wait on others to make a change here. I want to encourage you, as you're watching this, take action. Consider today, are you willing to pray for Judd Saul and this film, Enemies Within the Church? Could you go to enemieswithinthechurch.com and make a donation? Could you join our launch team? You can find out everything you need, facebook.com/groups/enemieswithin. And you'll find more than 1,000 other people who are already putting their help behind this film and praying for it and doing what they can to get the word out. This is a good time if you've considered, I want to take action. This is how you can take action.
And I want to put this out there. Just put simple numbers out. If I had 2,000 Christians that would donate $100 to this film, we could have our production completely done. Just 2,000 Christians to donate $100. And you can't tell me, Cody, that there's not 2,000 Christians out there that can't spare $100 for such a project. And I know there's a lot more out there that can afford more. And I'm telling you right now, we have been watching leaders across the spectrum who might have said things that are raising awareness on kind of what's going on. But right now, we are the only people that are going to name the names. We're going to call for separation of fellowship with these people. We're also exposing the funding sources of what's going on. The purpose of this film is not to get a seat at the table. The purpose of this film is to flip the tables over. Because we cannot clean house unless we walk in with a bullwhip and turn the tables over. And when I say this, this is not a bomb-throwing hit piece of a film. Everyone that is going to be exposed, everyone that we're going after, is going to be personally contacted and is going to be approached with what we're going to be exposing to get their response, to get any type of clarification, or if there's something we missed. We're going to go about this biblically. But at the same time, if we don't name the names, if we don't expose what's going on, we can't fix the situation. You have to identify the enemy if we're going to attack it. And that's what this film is for. And guys, this is, you will not believe the pushback and the fights, the fighting we've been getting from people who we thought were our friends, who you think might be on our side. Well, they're not. Because a lot of these people want a seat at the table, and they don't want us to disrupt what they have going on. But I'll tell you what, right now, everyone in the film, Trevor Loudon, Judd Saul, me, Pastor Kerry Gordon, we're willing to lay it all out on the line and risk everything to bring you the truth. It'll let you decide.
If you are on this email list, or if you are in the Facebook group or seeing this on social media somewhere, we want to invite you right now. Go to enemieswithinthechurch.com. From there, you can see how to support our campaign to fund the film, and you can see several articles that will show you the kind of material that is going to go into the film. Judd, thank you for sharing about the film today, and I'm very excited to see what is going to happen. Thank you for being the kind of person who's willing to take that responsibility to tell the truth to the world.
I can say thank you, Cody, for your help, and everyone who's watching. Please continue to keep us in your prayers and encourage. I ask you, we can't do this without financial support. We need that, and we also need other people to come in and support it as well. But just keep us in your prayers. And again, if you guys have stories, information, feel free to contact us through the website and send us information. The more we get, the better. And I'm talking to people all over the country that have stories. And Cody, I just want to leave it with this one story. Okay. Met a couple that last week that was essentially being pushed to leave their church because they have the same last name as another couple in the church. The other couple happens to be black. And their pastor and leadership went to this couple and said, you need to apologize for your past sins because you have the same last name as this other couple. And come to find out, this white couple that has the same last name, neither one of their ancestors came to the U.S. Till way after slavery was abolished. But they happen to have the same last name, and they said, look, we've looked at our genealogy even, and we have no history of slave ownership. And they said, you still need to apologize to this black couple. And what's happened to this church essentially is that this whole church is split up. It's caused a rift, and the entire church has broken apart because of this. So you had a once healthy church that existed, and then the intersectionality, critical race theory, this is all cultural Marxism, which is designed to divide and conquer. This went into the church and broke up that entire church because of this incident, because this pastor was indoctrinated in cultural Marxism. This is just one story, and we have plenty of these from all over the country, but this was a couple that was just in tears over what had happened, and they were so hurt over what had happened because they were told to apologize for something that they weren't even guilty of, and their ancestors actually weren't guilty of. But this pastor had to be so woke, he was willing to divide his church over this. And this is not an absurd story. This is happening everywhere. I just wanted to share that story with you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. If anyone is paying attention and talking with people across the country, finding out what's going on in churches, visiting churches, you know that this is happening in perhaps the majority of churches, this kind of infiltration of postmodernism, this kind of social justice rhetoric that has become the new gospel. There's only room for one gospel, and it's going to take brave men who are going to speak the truth and who are going to contend for the faith once and for all, delivered to the saints. I commend to you Judd Saul as a man who's going to do that work. And please go to enemieswithinthechurch.com and you can support the project and you can find out more. Thank you for watching today.
Thanks, Cody. Appreciate it.